Mixing.
Okay, here we go. That is a nice, tidy, simple-looking project. Just fills my heart with joy. Here's some interesting news, chat. I'm probably going to get burned for this, actually. This is the last song I've made on Logic in ages. I think it might have been the last song I made, and then I've been using Ableton. I've been using Ableton a lot. I didn't know how else to break it to you, but it's happened. I don't know why, but I think what happened was I started working with Chris a lot, and Chris is on Ableton, and all of our Dropboxes were Ableton projects. We didn't do any stemming out, and I just sort of started getting used to it. I'm sorry, all right? I'm sorry. I've betrayed the door wars. I've failed the door wars. I switched sides. I'm like one of those guys in Game of Thrones where I've like snitched and I've just joined the other army. But look, I would say this. I think Arachnids is the best thing I can possibly do with Logic, so it's a nice place to end for now. Howard still sends me Logic demos, and I don't put them in Ableton. I carry on using Logic, so I think I'm in a place now where I can actually kind of use both to my advantage. I mean, you guys know I used to do that rewire thing as well. I used to have Ableton and Logic playing at the same time. So anyway, I just find it, I don't give a shit about this. I just find it funny that people care, a lot. So yeah, I just thought you should know I'm on Ableton 12 quite a lot these days, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's super creative, especially now I'm doing these kind of more techie, darker, bassy tunes. It feels like my parents have gotten a divorce. Just wait till you use FL. Yeah, I'm just going to do the rounds. I'm going to use them all. I'll be on SoundForge before you know it. Is it SoundForge, the one with no grid, the one that Burial uses? That's up next. Anyway, for Arachnids, we are using Logic. It has been my go-to DAW for most of my life, but yeah, I am a bit between DAWs at the moment. It's like I'm moving house. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to be using Pro Tools, Mago. That's not a thing. Jamie A is, obviously a Fruity Loops connoisseur. I'm not there yet, man. I'm not there. My AC is like really cooking me right now. There we go. All right, let's get into it. So here's Arachnids, 138 BPM. The idea with this song all stemmed from this little drum loop here. Micro drum loop, I've named it after Microtonic. Check this out. We've got just so much going on with this. I mean, yeah, look at that. The heck is going on there, It's an insane amount of automation. Yeah, and it's all... Some of it's jammed in, like some of it I've mapped a few things and I've been messing around. Most of it's just done with the mouse. I've just listened over and over and over again and decided every single one of these lines needs to go there. So it's a big old project. Lots of work went into it. But yeah, what I like about it is it actually stemmed from something very simple. If you take off all the fancy plugins and you take off all the automation, the beat's actually, kind of just like a nice little chugging two-step thing. And it all came from this. I've actually managed to find the patch and the original thing that I used. So this is it, Microtonic Sonic Charge. Shout out to DJ Boring. DJ Boring actually showed me this. We had a session together last year, maybe 2 years ago now, and he was just messing around with this. I don't really ever use many sort of sequence drum machines. You guys know I like to draw every single note in by MIDI, and I like to make randomness happen with like real life synths. Like if I'm gonna go for like a random jam, I'd rather like get on some knobs. So I don't really use these VST sequence drum machines very much. But what I like about this one is this knob here, this morph knob. It's really cool because they've sort of mapped it to every knob on the whole plugin. And as you can see, every knob just moves a little bit when you do this. And you can adjust exactly how much and which ones do and don't move. But yeah, if I just solo this and play this, you're going to see where it all came from. And if I move the knob around, And each of these cells here are the different sounds. Oh, you've got like your kick. I didn't use that. This like weird hissy thing. Nothing. What's that, Tom? So yeah, and then, you know, it's all just a noise oscillator or a sine wave oscillator. It's just, you know, it's a synth basically. It's a synth generating all these sounds. But yeah, I just love this thing because it moves every single one of each of the sounds knob at once, and you get these wicked little variations that it kind of gives you that modular analog vibe that you can just jam around with very easily with one slider. So I've started from a preset here, Drum Force A or something, and then I've tweaked it. So, you know, you've got your step sequencer down here, and you can do multiple sequences. So you might hear, that's the main one, right? And then you've got, that's kind of the B section that happens just before the drop. Let's go to C. See, I'm already having fun, and I'm already starting basically a new song in my mind there. So yeah, cool little plug. Really glad I found it. I've used it on a few tunes since as well. Doesn't have to just be drums. I think it does a pretty good job at like little bass line sequences too. So yeah, that's where it all started. I just jammed that and hit record for ages, like a long, long time. And this is what I jammed out. I mean, we could probably pull up the original file here. Yeah, so it's not super long, but I just let it roll and did all these sort of variations as I went, and ended up with just a big long section of audio that I could then mess with afterwards. So big sub. Yeah, there you go, all that sort of thing. So that's all in there, and I've just basically done a big old structuring job of the bits I did like, the bits I didn't like, looped a lot of it. Someone says, holy rumble. I agree. I couldn't work out how to pitch the kick around how I wanted to, so I kind of just left all of that in there and rolled it off, and I redid the kick in a separate channel up here. So you're going to kind of see how the kick and a bass note all sort of gets layered up with those drums to create the final thing. And then it's all run through just so many effects. You've got shaper box, you've got a ton of decapitator distortion stuff going on, you've got bit crushing, you've got delay, reverb, you've got ring shifting, you've got tremolo, you've got this Effectrix thing. It's basically an experiment of how far can I run these drums through oblivion until they're completely destroyed. So yeah, if I just press play on the old, this build up here is the most crazy programming moment of the lot. So what's that? I'm hearing a beep. Where's this coming from? Is that the microtonic? Did I leave it on? Oh, it's the Effectrix. I have a lot of problems with that plugin. It's really good, but if you don't mute it every time you're not using it, it gives you some craziness. Okay, that's the beep gone. So yeah, here's the drop with. See, it's still going mad. Oh, it's because where the mouse is. Yeah. Can we just appreciate we're on punish on +10 here on the decapitator? I think it's important that we all just respect that for a minute. On full wet. See, that's all it is. End of stream. Run it through Decapitator at full blast, and your tune will be great. I've been Guy from Disclosure. Thanks for watching. No, I'm just joking. You can obviously do a lot more than that. Let me take all the plugins off, and then we can go back to how it was. Okay, Effectrix, it's still on. I can't control Effectrix. There we go. So yeah, some of it, it's like you got to try and decipher, are we hearing the audio being messed around with, or are we hearing an effect? So like I've got a little reverse kick in there, you know, to give you that reverse feel. But then I've also got like some tonal delay, flangery stuff going on that sort of makes it sound like maybe it's just phasing weird, or it's someone's put like a rewind on it or something. I don't know. It's basically a huge experiment in that kind of manipulation of the sound, and just trying to like play with your ear every bar. Like I wanted something different to happen every single bar almost, so that it was never a loop. Like there's some audio loops going on like this section, but you're never hearing the same thing twice. There's always something rising or falling. So first thing I did was I put Soothe on there because it was pretty damn Larry in the hi-hat department. The top end it's pretty... let's just go to a normal bit. Let's just go to like the bog standard where it starts looping. Is that here? Yeah, let's go here. So we're taking away just those kind of like 2K weird little like noises. Didn't need those. A lot of EQ going on here. Let me just make that smaller. It's big, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of dynamic EQ to try and control everything, because there's a lot of lows and a lot of highs, and even the mids are pretty attacky and aggressive. And you know, because I did all this in like one take, the drum machine file, you know, the audio is just there. Like I've committed, and there's good reasons for that, and there's bad reasons. Like when you commit to something like that, I do think it helps with creativity. You just move on and you just get on with the next thing. But then you do have problems that sometimes you can't solve without using EQ or compression or whatever. You know, whereas otherwise you could have gone back and just slightly tweaked the hi-hat if you needed to. I just went for it and had a good time on this drum machine thing, so I had to go back and do some adjusting. So much rumble down there. Just backing that off a bit. We've got a resonance here that I wasn't keen on. Just a bit of the kick. This is just like... just doing like the claps, basically, and just... it's more acting like a compressor, that. I just wanted it to bring the level of the general claps down. What's really cool though about this drum machine is I've noticed it either spits out entirely mono or completely sides. There's no like sort of spectral stuff going on in between. So when you put like a mid-side EQ on it, you basically end up almost like with the stems. Like, so if I solo this, which is just the sides, right? It's just everything fully stereo. There's no kick or snare at all because they're completely mono. So it's quite cool because you end up with... Isn't that nuts? And then equally, like if I was to change it to just mid, you'll probably you won't hear any of those hi-hats, I'm imagining. Oh yeah, they're kind of in there. But yeah, I found it really useful that like I did this a couple times throughout the song. That if you just want to boost the sides, it's doing a super clean job at it because you're not boosting like the kick click, and you're not boosting like the snare drum click. You're literally just boosting the shakers and the that hiss noise and whatever, which is nuts because it's just a stereo audio file. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. Like, just sounds like the stems. And then I got a load of dynamic EQ on the highs because that top end is pretty Larry. So that's just a bit of control going on. Then I'm going into Shaper Box. Let me just mute that and put that there. Oh Jesus, that's all coming from another plugin somewhere else. I'll get back to that. Yeah. This is just adding like vinyl crackle. Crispy Crackles is one of the presets on here. I really like the selection of hiss and stuff you get on here. So I just have it slightly underneath, and and it's just being triggered when it plays, so it disappears when the drums go away, which I find useful. Instead of having to like audio fade in and out, audio files, you can just leave this on. If I do noise only, it's basically just doing that, just adding that little burial, crispy crackles. Got to have that in there. Next is Decapitator. This is just doing so much automation. It's not really ever on one setting and just adding any kind of flavor. It's just completely destroying the drums or completely muted. So, I've done a lot of automation here. See that yellow one there? That's probably the mix. Is that? Yeah, Decapitator mix. And then I've got probably drive. Yeah, overdrive happening as well. I'm just messing with those for the build-ups mostly. I noticed the more I crunched it, the more sort of... this is normal with saturation, but it would glue it all together. But I didn't want to do this in a tasteful way. I wanted to like really wreck the drums. It was like a sort of A-B idea of like, if I can get these beautiful vocals to soar over the top and crunch the drums to death underneath them and then like swap places, that was kind of the idea behind it. I should say as well, the reason it's called Arachnids is because, two reasons. In the drums, that like hiss sound that sort of comes and goes now and again. Let me just unmute the original. Like, was it this one? Yeah, that. I don't know what it is about that sound, but to me, like, it just sounds exactly like a spider hissing, like going, like, or Spider-Man's like web going, that thing. I don't know why, but that's what came to mind. And when I was making this tune, which was in this room, this is my little studio at home, there was a shitload of spiders in here that day. The house I'm in is like pretty prone to like daddy long legs and those kind of spiders, and there was just tons. So just named it after them. That's why it's called Arachnids. Back to these drums. So yeah, as you can see, now we've backed right off the Decapitator. It's not doing much. I've got it on full blast purely to like wreck the sound during moments like that. So it comes and goes and does its little distorty thing. Then we got some H delay. This also, it sort of comes and goes, I think. Let me find the thing. Where are we? Yeah, out. Does it come and go? Yeah. So these purple lines here, this is all the... See if I can put it on full. So yeah, it's acting like a filter as well. So I've got the EQ set pretty aggressively here on this filter, which is doing a lot of damage. Where did I just put that? Yeah. So that's like post the distortion as well. So I really like the filter in H delay. It's got like a grittiness and really like real distortion feel to it, especially if you put it on lo-fi. I haven't done that this time. I thought it was a bit too much. But also analog setting number 2, that gives it like a tape saturation vibe, but it annoyingly spits out hiss all the time. I wish they'd put a setting on it to disable the hiss and just have number 2 going, because yeah, I have to turn it off. But really good distortion into this sort of ping pong, super fast ping pong effect. Again, it's just pure mangling the sound. Let's put that back. I don't know where it was, roughly there. Then we've got more EQ, but this is just filtering. So this is like the main filter of the track that's bringing up all the... I'm treating this EQ like a DJ mixer. I always have like an EQ after a few effects that I'm imagining myself like on the filter knob, just doing sweeps. So that's what this EQ is for. Some people like to use, filter plugins for that are a bit more gritty and have got a bit more distortion. I like doing this like super clean approach because I've already mangled it like through Decapitator, so it does not need any more distortion. Then we've got a little is this Bit Crusher or something? Again, it's like another flavor of distortion and another way of just completely destroying the sound. it's funny, like with my old songs, I was kind of obsessed with like the mix being really clean. Like if you're working with a singer, you know, like Latch is such a clean mix. Talk with Khalid is such a clean mix. Blue World with Mac is really all about the vocal just soaring over this nice, like delicate, bouncy, still punchy, but bouncy beat. This is like, I'm interested only in one thing, like grit and distortion. So I'm just playing with different types of distortion and bringing them in and out for a bit of variety. You've got like a bit crush style, you've got a tape saturator style. This is like a valve amp style. So yeah, it's just running it through all these different things. Got some reverb on there. It's on 0%. So again, I'm just pulling it up and down occasionally. Yeah, it's just doing that sort of thing. Transient master. This thing was pretty interesting to use on this. So we have, I've got a lot of automation on the sustain. So the sustain knob sort of it's like the opposite of compression. You know, compression makes the loud sounds quiet. Transient designers make the soft sounds louder, and you get this like more extreme pumping effect, and you end up with a square waveform, you know, if you go all the way up instead of this nice dynamic range. Again, I want it to be square. I want to mangle this thing. So you can see here how it's just making all the shakers and all of that really, really loud. And I want it to get to that peak because this is the build up of the whole track here. You know, I want this to be the most intense, full moment we can possibly get. And then we get that release like right before the drop. I actually left it on like 75% even on the drop. See, so for the rest of the song, Transient Master's on 0. It's a bit more tame. And then here, a lot of that's coming from that Transient Master. If you take that off, it sort of sits back a bit and sounds a bit more like it did in the verses. And I just wanted this to be absolute full blast, like let's go. So I got that on maximum. I've got a very short reverb here. It is doing some automation, I think. Let's find out. Yep, tons of automation actually, yeah. So it's just quite a short room sound. We turn off the dry signal. Okay, that's got none, so. Yeah, that. Just that sort of washiness going on in the sides, in and around the top end. I've EQ'd out all the bass and all the highs. It's just that sort of room noise. It's only 480 milliseconds long, so it's a room reverb, so to speak. I just like what it was doing on the build-ups. I don't think I've got it on at all when this track is like pumping. I've got it on really quiet, so you can barely hear that versus where the real. But you know, if you take it off, you do notice it. Yeah, I find those sort of sneaky reverbs like in headphones make a big difference. You know, you're noticing like the lack of 3D if you go too dry. Saying that, there are plenty of mixes that are super dry that I love. Sammy Virgie's really good at that. I don't think he uses really any reverb on anything. It's just like down the middle. It sounds great. But for this song with its like big echoey vocal and its spookiness, like the spooky arachnid spider vibe, I want it to sound like we were in a cathedral at points. You know, we're in a spooky place. So you got to have reverb to put it in a place. Last in the chain is this ring shifter, which I'm automating quite a lot of times. Oh, just twice, yeah. So there's a couple like build-up moments. You guys have seen me use Ring Shifter before. It's such a good Logic plugin. This is one thing I think Logic does better than Ableton. There is Ring Modulator in Ableton, to be fair. It's cool, but I just like the flavor of this one. I think it's really cool with the stereo width knob, the LFO, the envelope follower. It's a great plugin. It does moments like this. Let me make it more extreme so you can... So that would be like a fast one, you know. What I love is at this point, all of those just sounded good. And it's just a case of like recording a few in and picking your favorite, you know. I don't think I've actually done any automation on this frequency knob. I kind of wish I had. Look, yeah, it's blank. I actually wish I'd done a bit of that. So maybe that's my last job, is instead of just is going in with a bit of... That sounds sick. See, there you go. There's this endless tweaking you can do here. It's never over. It's never fucking over. We got some sends going on here. We've got one to a rotocab. I'm not using that. We've got one to little plate reverb. This is my sort of bus reverb that I'm using to send little splashes to of every instrument. I've gotten more into doing that again recently. I sort of got away from it for a while, like putting reverb on a new reverb on every channel, just for control and for different lengths and whatever. But I do think that the old method of just bussing everything to one single reverb, it does make for a more natural sound. You know, you've just got that everything in one place going through the same thing, and then you can compress it, you can EQ it all together. Yeah, so a little bit of that going on. I've got, what's this? I don't think I've got any sends going on here, but oh yeah, a little send splash here. So that's just extra reverb splash going on with this. Yeah, just a little splash. That and some, it's two types of reverb splashes going on, and a ping pong delay. Yeah, ping pong delay. That's just going to give you a little, just that tiny before the drop. It's just giving you that. It's almost acting like a splash cymbal. You know, I wanted like a whoosh, that kind of thing. Arachnids in time for Halloween. That's a good idea. I don't know why we didn't think of that. Maybe we did. Yeah. Have you heard Skrillex's mashup Cinema Latch? No, I haven't heard that. Please send it on the Discord. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the drums, of like the drum machine drums at least. I've got a couple other channels here for like extra fills. So this is stuff that I just couldn't make work all in the same channel. I've had to like export a couple extra sounds. So that's like, little pitched around snare. What's this one here? Scratch fill. Oops, sorry. Scratch fill. Oh yeah, I love those. That's got a big old flanger on there. So that's just layered up over the top. That'll be a tiny piece of the drums, probably that piece that I've just taken and looped a random amount until it did something interesting. And this flanger is what's giving it pitch and giving it movement. You know, you can crank that up even more and make it self-oscillate. Also sounds cool. Maybe I should have done that. God damn it. Never ending. So yeah, little couple of moments there. On the bus of all of that, all these few things here, I've got a clipper. I've been using this clipper a lot recently. Ven Audio. You've got endless choices when it comes to clippers. Standard clip is one everyone seems to go for. In the Oxford Inflator, there's a clipper that I use sometimes, but I like this one because it's got huge oversampling. Look at this. You can do 256 times oversampling, which is definitely overkill for a drum bus, but on your master out, it's kind of cool for bouncing out a demo. I also like the little visualizer it has here. So I'm just taking the heads off some of these a little bit because I thought they were just peeking through a little too much. Obviously, you can go more aggressive. Oh, we're hearing the kit, sorry. So that's obviously insane, but you can see what it's doing. I've just got it taking off. Hardly anything. It's literally just there for safety. Yeah, look, half a dB. This is where it says here clipped. This is like what you're taking away. It's just half a dB of a dB. Yeah, so it's just giving it a little bit more headroom, giving it a little haircut on the way in. You could use a limiter, but again, for this tune, I'm all about the distortion, and clippers add like a nice. They add like a nice distortion to the sound. So I'm using that. You better be thrashing this out at Warehouse Project. I definitely will play this at Warehouse Project. I think that's almost where I made it for in my mind. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite places to play. Guy, what does all this look like to you? Was there ever a point in your composing journey you looked at foreign language? Yeah. When I first started doing all this was a foreign language. To be fair as well, if you're like a new producer and you're coming in to watch my stream and this is the first stream you're seeing, this is pretty high level. If you go back on the Twitch channel, there's some streams of me like making songs from scratch. They would probably be more appropriate for you because this is a finished track that's sort of super nerd out. So it probably does look like a different language. It is, but Now I can understand it, so I'm speaking the language. Yeah, last thing to show you is I've got a little, what's that? That's just doing some sidechain compression on the lows. Just so the kick and the bass don't clash. I know that sounds weird because it sounds like the kick and the bass are all in there, but there's actually two other things going on. So that's the drum machine. That's the punchy kick, and then there's this. So it's weird, like, I think you could get away with probably not having that, and it would still sound fine. But to my ears, like, it's actually more about how it sounds through like smaller speakers at that point. I noticed when I was listening to it like through my phone or laptop or like a car system that wasn't very good, I wasn't really hearing the note of the bass. I think it's a low D, so it's super low. I don't usually ever really go below like an E or an E flat, but it's a D. And if you're doing a D and it's just a sine wave, most speakers can't really produce that. You know, only club systems and big festival speakers and subwoofers are going to be able to produce that level of sub. So I added in this space because it's filling that sort of upper harmonic range a bit more. You've got more like 100 hertz going on there. And as you can see, I'm not interested in the sub of this at all. I've got plenty of sub going on in the lows. I just want this bit. I want this upper harmonics kind of 100 hertz to sit underneath the bass and just complement it. So it's rare that I'll put like a bass note in the drum bus. Like, you know, it's basically acting like a kick with a note. You know? Dum, dum, dum. And I'm just using good old classic Monarch for that. 2 octaves. So you're getting, you know, that's the octave up and then the one below. So yeah, I just felt like it needed a little, oh, got Wheel of Death there. That's not good. Yeah, I felt like it needed that sort of mid-range to come back. It was too tucked away. It was too hidden away in the mix when I was, I'm gonna have to reset this. Yeah, when I was mixing it through smaller speakers, it just became really obvious like quite quickly. But it was cool because it enabled me to then do like animation to the drum itself, if you know what I mean. Like, because it sort of sounds like an 808 almost, right? At that point, you've got the knock of the kick and then you've got the tail of the boom of the synth. So like you could have just pitched an 808 sound around, but by using a synth, I was able to then do a bunch of like cut off automation. I was able to do a bunch of like resonance stuff, send it through effects and delays. So I would actually say probably the main element of this tune, like even melodically, is the kick, which is nuts. You know, I haven't really ever made a tune where the main feature is the kick. Like the kick is so important, it drives it, but it's a very busy kick, this one, and it's very tonal, and it does a lot of rising and falling, and it does a lot of like, yeah, it does a lot of movement. So I don't know how I ended up at that, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with the kick. Just reopening this now. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Here we go. Should be at the same level. Let me crank that up. Bypass. Yeah. All right, cool. Yes. So yeah, we've done those channels there. Most important channels of the whole track, I would say. Other than that, I've just sort of got a little extra percussion going on down the bottom here, which is just it's just continuing to allow the drums to like rise up and keep building. So it's like this mad distant drums come in on just the second half. Crazy. But in the mix, it's doing something important. Rimmy flange. Wow. Cool. I don't know where I got these sounds. I think some of them are going to be splice. Some of them are just going to be old things I've had on the hard drive knocking around. Extra rimmy. Cool. Yeah, so just more distortion and more layers all going in to add up to Yeah, you hear that? That's all coming from that, isn't it? Yeah, and then just more and more flanger. We've got some hand claps every fourth beat. Using good old Hand Clap Studio for that. Just 2 clappers. Yeah, they are in there the whole time. Sometimes they're quite dry. Hats, just a few extra hats at the end. Really like just down the middle, basic, plain old hats. Got a sample pack here called New York Hats. It's one of those. You do notice it when they're gone though. It adds that extra just chuck, 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 chuck. That's without. With. What I like about those hats is they're like 2 or 3 milliseconds just slightly ahead of the beat. So when the kick hits, it goes like thup, 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 instead of just going it's going like thup, thup, thup. It just adds like extra smash. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. Hats off to you. Thank you. Oh, really, yeah. Oh no, I forgot to use this button. I was gonna do this before we did the drums. Maybe we can re-edit this in. I'm gonna re-edit this in. All right, what should we talk about next?
Can you guess what we'll listen to next? That's right, it's the drums.
That's right, it's the drums, yeah. I mean, the whole song is drums, really, so it's not that difficult to talk about them. Little ride cymbal here. That is just, I think, a little 909 ride. Oh, no. Ride Arena. It's just going to be a battery preset, or a battery sample. Simple. That just sort of builds up underneath everything. Where are you? There. Just a bit of volume automation. Then we got Crunchy Swing Hat. I would usually program that in, but I must have just really liked the sound of that. It's just a 909 hi-hat, as far as I can hear. But it's got some extra like distortion and stuff going on, so it must be from like an old garage tune that I've ripped from somewhere. Really cool one. Reverse hat is just going to be a few moments where I've flipped it. Little shaker. Little cabassa. Ooh, with a little... Yeah. I like the offset reverb there. That's cool. Just got like 380 seconds of pre-delay. So that's nice. I wouldn't usually do that. That's cool. Weird wood block. I think that's a one hit at the start. Yeah, that's that little random beep. Oh, shite. There. No idea where I got that, and I don't even know why I put it in, but yeah, it's just a little decoration. Filter grains, yeah. There's a lot of granular stuff going on in this. I did quite a lot of mangling of sounds using the different like warping algorithms. Some of it in Ableton as well, actually, and I would have imported it back in. I love the texture and the sort of stuff you can generate with Ableton when you do all those extreme stretching numbers on the algorithms. That's pretty cool. What have I got on there? Just a little widener. Yeah, nuts. Cool. So that's just some like crazy filtered grains. You got some, whoa, what's this? More wood blocks. Oh yeah, extra little clock. That sound I absolutely love. That I actually used to use that in the intro of the show. So we'd like come out and do the white noise intro. I think it was maybe the Energy Tour. Yeah. So when we opened the show, I had this like rendition of white noise, and that was one of the main noises. And the guys used to fire the lasers for the first time over the crowd. So you'd hear like, and it would like show off the lasers we've got going on right away. This is doing some weird stuff that it shouldn't be doing. I think I know why. Yeah, that's better. Anyway, I could keep going, but yeah, there's just more weird noises and weird atmospheres like this. super detailed. I'm probably going on too much about these drums, but I'm very proud of them. The programming is nuts. The choice of sounds is something I've never done before. I just feel like it's a cool evolution of my programming. Here's my drum bus to the side here. Not that different from what I used to use. You guys are still probably familiar. Going into a bit of compression there. It's pretty light, just a couple of dB. Then we're going into Saturn, which is on pretty heavy. That's a lot of distortion for a drum bus and a lot of dynamic EQ, dynamic pushing going on. Don't know why it's not letting me boost that. I think because I've got automation on there, it's like, yeah, not letting me do it. But that's pretty slammed for a drum bus. You know, more distortion is good. I'll just bypass all these and then turn them back on. You can see what it's really doing. And with that. Yeah, I mean, you've got a bit of a level jump there as well, but they just sound insanely fat and so distorted and not even limiting. Like there's a limiter on there, but it's not even. Let's do it more at the start actually when it's less distorted, because yeah, when I add all the distortion in, that is already limiting it. Do you know what I mean? So when it sounds quieter, I'm actually limiting the peaks more than when it sounds louder. See, it's like what, 2 dB chopping off. But then when we get to here, it sounds way louder and way more full, but we're actually not limiting anything. So there you go. There's a little lesson for you guys who don't know too much about limiting and clipping and distortion. Limiting is just one way to make your song loud. You can easily master a track, mix a track with no limiters at all, and still end up with a really loud song. You're just going to have a different flavor of distortion if you use clippers, saturation, this kind of thing. So there you go. Loud drums, but what are we hitting? Like -8? I'll take the limiter off. Yeah, -7.6, right? At the peak moment. Whereas if we go to the non-peak moment, we're hitting 6.3. So isn't that interesting? You know, you've got it's up to you how you want to squish your sound. All right, that's the drums. I think pretty much covered everything. There's another clipper at the end of that as well. I think for all the instruments, but we'll get to that. The sub is so heavy. That is right. How much time did you spend on this arrangement? I think I had a day of just messing around with that drum plugin, and then I did probably another afternoon on arranging it and getting some sort of structure. And then I didn't add any of the sort of bassy wubs for a while. I left it as just like a drum track that I might write to. I thought maybe the drums were cool enough to just be for an idea with Howard, but in the end I ended up just really committing to this and programming the hell out of it myself. And then the sort of Middle Eastern flute vibe that comes in the middle, that was a couple months after. I got a little bit too bored with the structure, and I was like, this is such a surprising tune. It's such a non-disclosure sounding song that I was like, maybe we should just take it to the absolute extreme of where we can go. So put a flute on it. So yeah, it was many months of like stopping and starting. Couldn't give you an exact time frame, but I'm still not even finished. So it's been a while. It's still going. Show the vocals. Yeah, we'll get to that. I mean, why do you work with two DAWs? Because they both perform different tasks. Ableton's good at warping. Logic's better at recording. Logic looks nicer. You're going to stare at something for hours. Might as well be nice. When do you want to release it? I think in the coming weeks. I'm pretty done with it. I think we're nearly there. Yeah. I think it's there's not much left to do. That long pre-delay trick is cool, thanks. How many people we got watching now? A couple thousand, was it? Hey, nice. 2.7. How's it going, everyone? Welcome, welcome. Hope you're enjoying today's lecture on saturation and drum bus processing. Any reason you prefer MB for sidechain over Soothe? Yeah, I think they're pretty different. I think, MB is much more like, it's less precise. It's like a bit more, what would be the word? Like, you're gonna be compressing wider bands of EQ with that. Like, I think it's better. I wouldn't sidechain the bass of something with Soothe. I think Soothe is great to use for reducing harshness, and it's great for making space. Like, if you put Soothe on a guitar track and you sidechain the vocal in there, I think it's really good at removing those frequencies of the vocal in the guitar track. You know what I mean? I think it's better if you're trying to get that pumpy effect and you're trying to just like make the bass go whoop whoop, then Pro MB or just the old Ableton Logic compressor, whatever you want to use. Papa Wise, you keep asking the same question. Why are you using 2 doors? This is just 1 door. I'm just using 1 at the moment. I like to use Ableton as well, though, for different reasons. It has different features. I don't know how else to explain it. Logic does some stuff better than Ableton and some stuff worse. So it depends what sort of song you want to make. A bit off topic, but any chance for an extended version of Brown Eyes? Probably not. No. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to ask Howard about that one. We're kind of done with Alchemy at this point. It's like a while ago. I use FL and Ableton. They're good at both things. There you go. See? Everyone's doing it. All right, I'm going to move on now from the drums to the bass. Well, what do you want? Do you want bass or synths and vocals? Bass or synths or vocals? Let me know, chat. We've got a lot of synths. Synth. I'm seeing synth the most. A lot of basses. A lot of bass, synth, bass. No vocals, though. I mean, there isn't really vocals in this track. There's a couple of moments. Yeah, I think it's just about bass. I think bass has got it. We'll do bass first. All right, here we go. So bass bass. It's like there is no bass. There's no bass line. There's bass moments. There's all these little wubs. And I would say most of it is coming from my go-to plugin at the moment for wubs, Synplant. I love this thing. Synplant 2. I'm sure some of you have used it already. That little engine generator thing it has here is so good. You know, you can drag in a bass sound from one of your old songs, or you can drag in, maybe you made a cool wub once and just exported it and then you just forgot about it. You can just bring it back to life with this thing. You can drag in any sample into that and it makes it into a synth. It's great. I absolutely love it. Especially for wubs. Like it's really good for just a quick one shot wub or bow or something. So I've got a bunch in here that I've made. Look, I even copied the Flight FM bass the other day just for fun. That's not bad, right? I was like pretty surprised that it did that good of a job. So yeah, it's pretty cool synth. What's this sound? That's one of them. See, look, that just happens once in the whole tune. Got a bit of pitch bend on there as well. And I'm overdriving it quite a lot as well. So that's one. What else we got? Wub big. Let's go wub big. Another one. Oof. That's a gnarly one. Whoom. Annoyingly, it doesn't remember where you dragged in your patches from, but these are all ones that I've made and then sort of tweaked inside the engine here. So, it doesn't. I don't think it comes with many presets, Synplant of or any wubs. So you have to sort of drag them in and make your own. So there's one. I've got an auto filter on there as well. Let me take off all those. Oh, there you go. Okay, so yeah, I know how I did that. I think I used the FM synth on Logic. That sounds like an FM bass to me, that classic, like that one, just FM synth. And I just did like a bow for sure. That's how I did it. Dragged it into Synplant, and then I would have tweaked it loads using all of these little crazy devices like the filter and saturator. Like, look at this thing. Killer. Then I added Shaper Box for a bit of noise, that sort of thing. And then I put it all through the auto filter to make it go from being a bow to a wow, you know? Yeah. Bit of resonance on there as well. Crank that up. Oh! Oh, Jesus. Yeah, again, probably should have put that in the finished tune. Got some EQ on it. And this is just one bow, guys. Like, I've gone so in here. This is just, it's like half a second of the song, you know? This is insane. Like, I would never usually bother doing something like that. That didn't sound very good. Probably have to take the EQ off. Oh, it might be that filter. Yeah, there we go. So that's one. Here's another one. Big wub slow. Just even gnarlier. Same with the FM bass. I've got two here at the end. What's these ones? They're all just different. Little delay there at the end of that one. Woo! So yeah, I just wanted it to all sound always evolving, always moving. Someone says, I have no idea what's going on, but this is very satisfying. Yeah, that's actually where I'm at mentally when I'm making music too. How does Simplant handle drums? Really well. If you put a one-shot snare in, it's pretty good. Shakers, hi-hats, this kind of thing. It's not bad. It's got a noise generator in there, so it's pretty good. Does it work with vocal recorded samples? Not really. That's the one thing where I think it's not up to scratch yet. If you drag in like an ooh, it's really weird actually what happens. Do you want to try it? Let's just pull up a Simplant. Wait, where is it? I've got that thing that lets you search for plugins, don't I? No, I used to. God damn, who makes it again? Simplant? Is it Sonic Charge? Yeah. So yeah, you just go on your little DNA patch there. Let me just bring up my samples. I'll just do a splice thing. Vocals. Vocal one shot. Classic. I don't think it's very good. I'll be honest. I think it... How is that a vocal?
Go.
Okay, there you go. We'll take a go. Okay, so there's go.
Go.
Go away, splice. Okay. And then you press this and it's going to try and make the word go. It's not going to do a good job. Oh, not bad. Yeah, I mean, you can let it keep going, and then these dots represent different synth patches it's just made for you. So, that is not bad, you know.
Go.
The way it's pitching. Oh, that's hard. But what's really cool is once it's done that, you know, you now have a synth. It's not just made you a sample. It's made you a playable synth. That's sick. I would happily make a crazy little... You know what I mean? It sounds like some like Flume tune or something. I know Flume loves Simplant, so you can see where a lot of those noises come from. But yeah, it wasn't the vocal sample of Go, was it? But it did make a cool sound. So big up Simplant. We got a couple other audio ones here. So I don't know why that's audio and not Simplant. It was probably just good. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, there's so much I like about that. The tremolo, the sideways action going on, the distortion. I just like it all. Yeah, see that little sneaky extra distortion at the end? Watch the mix knob. Jesus. Yeah, that one. Plain old wub. What's plain old wub doing? Yeah, that is a plain old wub if I ever saw one. So that's the only one that sort of goes throughout the whole tune. I think I'm doing a little bit of automation with it still. Yeah, messing with the modulation, so that'll be more aggressive and less aggressive. Oh, yeah, so that's all within Simplant. I actually have been using Simplant in the live show, believe it or not. There's a couple of tunes from the first 2 albums where I've just lost the patch, or like the sound, the file's corrupt or something, and I couldn't bring Howard's synth back to his keyboard. But I have got the audio stems, and for some moments there are like single notes in there, and I just would drag, like, put it this way, what's a good example would be the bass line for In My Arms. That in the live show is Howard playing Synplant live because I lost the patch. So I just dragged in a single note of the stems into Synplant. It made the sound pretty perfect, and Howard's playing a MIDI keyboard on stage of Synplant. So there you go. We're using it live as well as in the studio. Powerful synth. We have a small respace here as well underneath everything. Very simple. I think it's doing some pitchy stuff. Oh, that's not worked. Okay, whatever. It's kind of backing up the wub, I think. I don't know what the Reese is doing. There you go, tiny bit. Just the op. Yeah, it's mostly like this sneaky little outro where it just goes warm. Does Synplant have good sound design control? Yeah. Sorry, I thought I showed that. If you press this tab here, everything's there. Envelopes, oscillators, and the filters, and even a little reverb and saturator. Really good sound design control. Cool, that's the bass. I got nothing on the bus, just a sidechain compressor that's just doing a little bit, only like 30% reduction, because I think I've got some sidechains on. No, it's just not doing much. Yeah, didn't want to do much compression on that. There's your bass sounds, guys. Any questions about the wubs? Oh, screen's off. Sorry, I didn't see that. My bad. Yeah. There's your that's what I was showing you. Yeah. This tab here, when you press the DNA, that's got all of the envelopes, LFOs. That's got all of the oscillators and the filters. Your sound imitation is so sick. How did you learn that? Imitation? I'm not sure what you mean. Sound design? I've just been practicing for 15 years, mate. That's what you have to do. Do you prefer to work in MIDI or audio? It depends on the job. I think I like to work in audio for sound design these days. Working in audio makes me commit to a sound as well. I often find if I leave it in MIDI, I'll be forever changing it. I think, freezing tracks or bouncing to audio is sometimes quite a good idea. What's the old saying? Limitation breeding creativity, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're unsure of the part, if you're unsure melodically of a part or chord sequence, probably leave it in MIDI. If you're doing wubs and sound design and one shots, I think audio's pretty great. Do you do your wubs differently to someone like Sammy Vergi or MPH? I don't know. I think those guys all use Serum, don't they? Probably. I would have thought so. Yeah, I mean, I use Serum too on my newer stuff, the more like garagey stuff you guys have been hearing in my DJ sets. There's quite a lot of Serum in that going on. It is the best thing to use probably for garagey bass lines. There's so many like sample packs available, like preset packs available for Serum of wubs, dubstep basses. So yeah, you can definitely start with that. But another good way to do it is like this. Yeah, get Synplant, get a load of one shots from various sample packs, and drag them in and just tweak the synth from there. I think if you're not a sound design expert like me, I'm not a sound design expert. I'm good at mixing, I'm good at drums and stuff, but I'm not into like FM and synthesis and modular synths. I think Synplant's a really good place to start, actually. What's your best approach to learn sound design? Listen to lots of music that has it, like Vergi, Skrillex, Aphex Twin. Big range of music, listen to music. And then YouTube videos like this one, but probably even nerdier ones than this. Do you use much gain fader automation on the tracks? Yeah, quite a lot, actually. I try, actually, it depends. In Logic, I do mostly use the faders for volume automation, but in Ableton, I use like the utility plugin with the gain knob. I don't know why. You can do that in Logic too, though, to be fair. I mean, yeah, part of me I would advise you probably always automate using the gain knob, because that way then if you want to just globally turn the sound up and down on a track, the fader isn't being automated. Do you know what I mean? I've kind of gotten out of that habit now. I used to always automate the faders, and now I'll use the gain plugin and automate this instead. So if you want to do a fade out, just do that. Fade in, do that. And then that way, your fader is still going to adjust the overall volume of the track throughout the song. How do you make your synth bass fit in? It seems like you could spend ages trying to find sounds that don't overpower tracks. Yeah, it is just trial and error. Trial and error, mixing, practice, personal taste, really. Just personal taste. Just try a load and see what happens. Analyzing Quest for Fire really... Oh, yeah, Quest for Fire really helped me hone my Sine FM synthesis. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Listen to a bunch of songs that are doing crazy sound design that you like. Try and figure out how it was done. It's kind of a fun game, you know? It's like going through a map on a video game. You're trying to discover all of these sounds. Okay, let's move on to the synth bus. Quite a lot here. As you can see, we've got like various little one-shots and some continuous loops. The main thing is this building pad. Which sort of fades in gently. Comes and goes throughout the song. Couldn't tell you where I got that. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just spliced though, or similar. Yeah, it looks like it's just a little... That's the original key. So yeah, just pitched it up, a couple tones, a couple semitones, running it through a little bit of EQ, bringing out the hiss there. Wanted like all that nice pss on the top to come out. Then I'm going straight into RC20, and that is doing a lot of the very slow arcing like wobble. I'll turn it up more extreme and you'll... I think RC20 is the best for modulating audio. It's so clean. You know, usually you would only be able to do that like on a synth where you're actually affecting the raw sound using an LFO. I've not heard one do it as cleanly up and down as RC20 does it. I think it does a really good job at preserving the quality of the audio and just slightly really brings that sound to life, you know. If I take it away, they're just a bit static, you know. Now it just suddenly sounds like we're in weird tape modulation. We're in this trippy world, which is what I wanted to achieve, this spooky kind of weird atmosphere. And then I'm going through this, which has also got some modulation on the delay. So we've got double pitch. Obviously that's very extreme, but you see what I mean? Everything's just getting bendy. So even though there's only one chord happening, we're sort of floating around. Then we've got some reverb and then some sidechain. That's it. So that comes and goes throughout the song. Next up, what's this? Nothing on that. B section chords. Oh yeah. So these kind of fade in, I think. Oh, it's just a bass. It's another bass, just pulsing, giving it extra tension. Yeah, very subtle. I think I just wanted something to ground that section. Ancient Flute, we'll come back to that. I want to get back to that at the end. This little wow sound. I think that's the Juno, probably. I think I've got a Juno in the cupboard there. Or it might even be the Roland System 8. Yeah, probably just did a bit of a jam on there and just played in some little notes. I tried a few things here, like this reverse thing. Decided against it. So that's muted. Reese Wah? Yeah, this is cool. I felt that reminded me of like a battle cry. You know, like those horns you get like in Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings where like someone's about to go and charge. It gave me that. That's fucking sick. I love that sound. Don't know where I got it from. And then a little slow down. See, there you go, Ableton Logic Crew. There's a cool one that you can't do in Ableton. The slow down fade. Love that thing. I'll do it earlier so you can really see what it's doing. Obviously, you can just do that. You can pitch that in Ableton, but I do like how you can quickly do it with a fade. Sort of Reese D&B sound, someone says. Yeah, it is a one-shot. I don't know where it's from. This must be from some drum and bass sample pack along the way. So that's there. Risers. Yeah, I got a whole bus of just risers here because there's so many different ones. We have that glitch. We have this glitch. Cool little zap sounds. Mate, I don't know where I got the ideas for these, but the LFO stuff, that's probably all the mono tribe, the Korg mono tribe. Sounds like it to me. I've got years of me messing around on the Korg mono tribe, so don't need any more samples for that. Lovely little moment there of just some random note just piercing through. I love how that's doing like the 7th. Because it should be going. You know what I mean? It's just doing the. Should be going. Kind of like doing that 7th. It's naughty. Got some nice sweepy white noise here. Oh, it's actually like a reverse cymbal, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have a library of weird glitchy samples, or do you have an idea of what you want and find it in Splice? Both. Yeah, I got loads of glitchy stuff. Check out the Korg Mono Tribe. The Korg Mono Tribe is where I've made banks and banks of glitchy LFOs over the years. And I've labeled them all as just LFO. So if I search the word LFO and then shuffle my lists, I get random ones popping up all the time, and I'll often go for that. The glitches, like the more industrial sounding ones, that'll be Ableton, like me messing around with the texture. Like that's like granulator, you know, that'll be a granulator doing that. So that's probably been made in Ableton or something and brought back in. But they have stuff like that on Splice too. Yeah, just search like glitches. There's tons. That's probably Splice. I don't know how to make a sound like that. That's like a digital computer bit crush sound, isn't it? Crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to make that. So that was definitely a sample. What's this? Laser riser. You got. That's definitely the mono tribe. So that's definitely me just on the LFO, just messing around. If you want to make risers like that, big sweepy dub siren stuff, definitely check out the Korg mono tribe or Monotron. They're all cool. That's my risers bus. Okay, coming down, we got the vocals. Is this? This is definitely Splice. I'm pretty sure. Just a lady going, ha! Yeah, probably Splice. I probably just searched, ha! I have labeled it as something though. God, I don't know. It could be from one of mine. I don't know. It's probably Splice. We got an ooh at the end here. Yeah. I just would have searched and searched and searched until I found an ooh that I liked to fit over that. So nice. Yeah, probably Splice, and I would have just been browsing around for ad-libs. I think, you know, dragging a whole full vocal in from Splice is one thing, but little ad-libs and splashes here and there, oohs and ahs, I think it's super useful for that. So that's on the main drop just before. And then we go in. What's this? A little C? C. That's sick. I just love that. I don't know what it's from, but very cool. Got some Indian stuff going on here. Definitely Splice. Now this is where it gets like really harmonically interesting. So if I come back up to the flute, This is where I sort of start to tease the idea of like, we're not just in a creepy place with spiders. We're in like the desert, you know, we're in somewhere super hot and sweaty and dreamy. And that's all sort of starting to emerge with these R's. So this all... Because there's something about that main pad that to me felt like it's quite Eastern sounding. The chord it's playing is not like your traditional just minor or major chord that you'd hear in a pop song. Like it's got a weird spooky sort of Eastern tone to my ear. So that led me towards like trying to find some really cool vocals that would complement that. So this kind of thing. And what I love about the music from out in that part of the world is the scales they use. You know, they have twice as many notes as we do. They use like half tones. You know, they have, instead of ha ha, they have like ha ha ha. There's like a note in between the semitone. So you get all these amazing bends and all this like just different landscape to play with harmonically. So like the note in there, that note is like not right. You know what I mean? By our standards, that note is not in key. But in India, it's totally fine. So yeah, it's you can just get away with more when you go to that part of the world. All sounds beautiful to me. And then we go to the flute. I don't know exactly which country this is going to originate from, unfortunately. It's not India, but it's definitely in the East somewhere. Starting out with this fifthly kind of drone, which I've just made from a loop because it actually didn't do that. It just sort of starts. There is a drone in there in these little bits. So I tried to find a section I could get with just the drone to sort of bring it up to life. And then the flute comes. This is all pitched up 2 semitones as well. And this is definitely just splice. Look, this is just a huge jam of flute sounds. I think I got a few of them. And I've just arranged them, you know, to my liking. I think I changed the end one a bit so it had a bit of a slide out. It's got to be Arabic, right? I'm going with Arabic. Arabic flute. Someone goes, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you exactly which country, but it's so beautiful. I absolutely love that part of the song. It is so not where my mind was thinking to take this song. Like, but yeah, it is just an experiment of how crazy of a journey how can we go from this to that in the same song, you know? Apparently you can. So I hope this can be a lesson for everyone that there should be no limitations on genre jumping, BPM jumping, slowdowns, key changes. Just fucking go wherever you want, man. Like, let your brain run wild. If you want to take it to the desert and you want to write a song about spice, that's cool. Yeah, I'm glad I just played that because now I've remembered there's this really cool moment that I've used here. This tiny thing. I'm using the Logic remix effects thing, and it has these really cheesy, some of them are cheesy, some of them are cool. Some like this. I've got that on the master, right? I'm running every sound through this thing. I'm almost treating it like a DJ mixer. I'm pretending I've finished the song and I'm running it through a bunch of effects so I can manipulate the whole sound. Even this like filter, you know. Like, that actually sounds like a Pioneer mixer to me. So yeah, these middle effects here, they're so funny. Look, listen to this. Oh! Yeah, and you can adjust the amount, like. Anyway, you can do that. This one here is the one I've automated, and it's going on 8th note triplets. It's so subtle. Let me turn it off. Here it is without. Here it is with. Mate, I just love that hi-hat going. It's so sick, and the clap gets reversed. Yeah, I love that moment. Without, it's just lacking like impact. With, I mean, yeah, what's cool about that and using a plugin over the whole mix, to do that, you would have to bounce all the bass, all of the MIDI drums. You'd have to commit everything to audio and then do a rewind reverse the audio. Do you know what I mean? But so by putting that on the master out, you can just throw it in for a second and it does your audio reversing for you, and you don't have to export anything. So I found that was pretty cool. Like I could change the amount to 16ths, be different. That's pretty similar actually. Yeah, there you go. Another way. Oh, that way is actually pretty cool. Yeah, so that's kind of a fun thing to do. Like I have a bunch of them here on the output track. You know, these are all little effects units that come with Logic, but you could use RC20, you could use Effectrix, you could, you know, throw a bunch on there. But I can't recommend enough. Just send all your audio through another track before it gets to the output track, so you can mess with it. Like change the whole sound of the whole mix for a second. You know, just put a high sweep on the whole thing, and then you don't have to put plugins on your master out. You know, you can leave it clean. Like my master out, oh, you can't see it because where it is. Let me move them. My master out has disappeared. Can you see it? Yeah, it's just there. Look, it's just got a limiter on it. It's completely blank. I get all my processing done before we get there. I find that helps with like organization. What's glitching? Something's glitching here. I don't know, something sounds really distorted. Oh, Fat Effects was on, yeah, that was it. Cool, all right, that's the drums, that's the synths, and I think that's the vocals, right? I don't think I've got anything else going on. Showed you the R's. What's the outro ooze? There's a little... They just build up. This is dope here, look. They build up and then just go away. Ooh, and that little... Yeah, I love that little thing. Okay, that's, I think, all the stems. Let's look at the master out. So all of that's going through, yeah, my little remix effect thing, and then I'm just going into my master chain. You'll be surprised to know I have a reverb on the master chain. So everything is hitting this reverb. It's subtle. It's not got a lot of highs going on. It's just there for a sort of room space. It's just sort of everything coming together. I mean, look, you tell me if you think it's good or not. It's just that. That's one of those ones where I think you got to listen in headphones, and you're just kind of, you know, you're just seeing, am I in a space? Like, am I feeling like I'm listening to this song in a warehouse? Am I in a dreamland? And I felt like, no, I wasn't. I think it felt too dry to me. It felt too clean and in my face. So I decided we need a little reverb on the master output. So not something I would usually do, but it's just that. Take it off and it's that. It's very subtle, very subtle. There is such a thing as like mastering reverb. I've heard of people do that. Someone said, yeah, reverb on the master. In addition to the plate verb, you have everything routed to. Yeah, even the reverbs and everything is going through that. Like, there's my, little plate is there. Everything's going through that, which is nuts. It's not essential, you know. If I accidentally bounced it out and had that turned off, it wouldn't be the end of the world to me. But I do think it is adding something. If you listen in headphones with it on and off, there is a difference there. On the quieter parts of the track. It's really subtle. It just adds that little 3D effect that I'm looking for. After that, we're going into the inflator, and that is my favorite plugin probably ever. Maybe Soothe. That's up there. I'll give you guys a little before and after of that thing. all the middle back. It's just like all of those cool, crazy effects I've got going on, all of this panning, all this like detail. It just gives like the root of the song, like just plants it. And it's like, it's louder, but it's not. Like the meters don't go up. You know what I mean? Like, okay, the meters do go up. Yeah, there's a couple dB in it, but still, it's because I'm clipping. I'm boosting into it because this is doing a little clipping here. So if I take that off, so I'm just trimming that a little tiny bit. Yeah, I love that plugin. It makes it loud in a really amazing way. You'll have to watch the YouTube video about it to find out how. It's pretty techie. I'm not sure how they did it. Then after that, oh no, not yet. After that, Saturn. I love gentle saturation for the master output. I find that just really smooths everything off and rounds it off really nicely. 10%, 70% mix, oversampling on Superb. When you're doing plugins on your master output, if you've got oversampling, I recommend using it. Oversampling is like where the plugin copies itself many times and checks that it's performing correctly. I think, is that what it is? Like, say you do 4 times oversampling, the plugin will run itself 4 times and it will check for any errors and any differences and then sum the sound back together. I think that's how it works. So if you're just doing a snare drum one-off hit, it's not that important. But if you're running the whole mix through a plugin, I'd recommend making sure you've got your oversampling on if there's an option. I mean, this plugin's got it for days, mate. 256 times oversampling is insane. So yeah, I wouldn't have this on when mastering. When I send this to my guy, I'm gonna be bypassing that because mastering engineers have amazing clippers. So this is just for my demo bounce. So yeah, a little bit of clipping for me on the output. It's a pretty small amount, you know. I've just got like, what's that, 1.5 dB of clipping. Very, very little. You could go heavier for sure, get a little bit more of a crunchy sound going on, but it's crunchy enough, man. I didn't think we needed to clip very much more off of the sound. And then a little limiter, but I'm not using it today because I've bypassed it for you guys. But I usually take off about 3 or 4 dB with the limiter. I can put it back on actually if you want to see it. No, not even 2 dB. Again, though, with the oversampling, make sure you're running oversampling on this thing if you can. It does have a certain sound to it. I mean, some people would argue maybe oversampling sounds a certain way. I don't know, man. That's pretty nerdy. There is that little feature. So now you're only hearing the signal it's distorting. So that is in there underneath the limiting. So that's what your limiter's doing to your mix. It's beating it up. So, you know, that's why going into a limiter and smashing it at -9, -10, -15, it's not going to do your mix any good, man. You're gonna ruin it. How can I show you? You're limiting to about 3 or 4 dB is my recommendation. And I've actually realized as well, I don't like this whole true peak thing. I think it makes it does something weird. What I recommend is turn that off and give yourself a bit of extra headroom on the way out. Like I do -0.3. I've never seen my interface go red with -0.3. If you do -0.1, you do get those little peaks sometimes coming over, and you know you don't want that. So I'd recommend turning off true peak and just backing down 0.2 or 0.3 dB. You're never going to notice that. So yeah, there you go. There's my chain. It's really simple. It's technically just 3 plugins. By the time I send it off for mastering, it's just 2 plugins. So keeping it pretty open. Just making sure I'm getting my gain staging right on the way in and all of that. What's this soothe doing here? Just a little soothe on the synth. So we've got so that's just doing that little resonant. Yeah, just taming some of those screechy sounds. I think that's it. I don't think there's much more to say about that song.
It's disclosure, isn't it?
It is indeed. I'm going to hang around for like 10 more minutes. If you've got any questions, fire away. I'm at your disposal. It doesn't have to be about that song. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. That is